league each of his first 5 years. Trying to continue that stretch here as we get rolling tonight.
And the Cougars in their pink jerseys. This is a play for K game. Kay Yao, late great coach, breast cancer. And so the Cougars and Cincinnati with pink attire. And then it's a foul. It looks it's tripped and fouled. That's going to be her first.
We talked about it pretty much right off the get-go, right? You really can't afford, if you're a Cougar, to get in foul trouble early on, because Cincinnati is the kind of offense that can certainly go off on you, although admittedly the Bearcats the last time out had a pretty sluggish outing at UCF. Cincinnati will readily admit that they did not get to the free throw line enough. They turn it over here, and they allowed her 20 points in the first half. 15 first half points. They still lost the game 49-42. They can play an offensive game, they can play a defensive game, but they've got to find a way, if you're Houston, got to find a way to stay out of early foul trouble.
Blackshell Fair going inside, and she turns around and gets the game's first 2 points. Julia Blackshell Fair. Now, that game against Temple, the last game, they needed a 3, and she went in for a 2 at the buzzer. And that mistake cost the Cougars a chance to tie at the end of regulation.
Not fun. And glad to see she's okay, but clearly a little shaken up. When you don't have the ability to brace yourself, it hurts. Watch out here for the Cougars.
Tatiana Hill with the steal, and the Bearcats have turned the ball over a couple of times in the opening moments of this ball game.
You know, it's kind of interesting. This team, throughout the course of the year, they have taken care of it really well. They have shared it really well. Their assist to turnover ratio is top 15 in the country. But they've been snake bitten by some, which that in this league is making a serious push. There were some lean years for Cincinnati basketball. And over the last couple, they've started to turn the corner. Last year, a couple of playoff wins. Finished third in the league. Nice move down there. But ever since Coach Clark Hurd came back to campus, where she had previously been an assistant a few years ago, she's got this program heading in a really positive direction.
And you've seen that with the infusion of a different mentality, a different mindset, different culture for the Bearcats. And it goes hand in hand with that newly refurbished arena they have, the 5th and 3rd arena in Cincinnati. They had to play at a private high school, girls Catholic high school, for a season while the 5th and 3rd arena was going under renovations.
St. Ursula Academy.
Yeah, that's right. And they,
frankly, two of the premier venues in mid-major college basketball across the country, and it's no surprise that Cincinnati's 2020 recruiting class is very strong, with some pretty impressive young women, both from Ohio and actually one from the Houston area as well.
Reiser or to Miller, Antoinette Miller. Roger
will give you nightmares as a coach. Not horribly unexpected, though, because of the way Houston likes to play. Apply some serious guard pressure. They want to play fast. Houston trying to force Cincinnati's hand early in this game and just try to make them uncomfortable, right? They're on the road. Cincinnati's been dynamite at home this year, but they've been a much more average team when they've played away from 5th Third Arena. Trying to make them uncomfortable has to be part of the game plan.
You can say that about Houston. They are 9-3 at home. However, on the road, 1-9. They have struggled away from the friendly confines of Fertitta Center. It's knocked away, but there's Rogers, and she misses this one. Rebounded by Reiser, and she put it up and in.
I said it right off the top. If Angel Reiser and Imari Thomas are able to hit the offensive glass throughout the course of this game, it's going to be tough sledding for Houston.
Well, she was the leading scorer in their last ball game, scoring 12 points. This one's no good by Miller, tipped up in the air. Thomas is so tough inside. She set her career high this year with the 35 points back on the 22nd of January. Last year, she set her first career high, as that one is
score that was a little too timid.
Thomas checking out of the ball game, and Jalen Scott and getting that foul, who just checked in. She picks up her personal. Cincinnati by a point. Rogers on the left wing. Both teams have been turnover prone.
Good find. Reiser right in the bottom of the key.
Now Reiser, with the exception of Thomas's 2 free throws, she's done all the scoring for them. She's got 8 of the 10 points. Tatiana Hill fights her way inside in the post. We mentioned her at the top. She's going to be very important. Houston's going to want to win this ball game. It's falling down as
I'm sure that's on everybody's mind. Figure out a way to be the 2, 3, 6, or 7 seed.
Now UCF last year, if you remember early in that game, they gave them a run for their money. And of course the UConn Huskies just wore them down as the game went along, and they won the conference championship up at the Mohegan Sun, this will be the last year.
What a cool venue.
It really is.
It's been a great treat for the American to be up there.
Maya Jones, who has just checked into the ball game for the Houston Cougars, misses that shot. She's a junior transfer, Flowood, Mississippi.
We've seen some out of control offense here, and frankly, the only teams, or I should say the only things that have stopped these two teams have been themselves. Sloppy turnovers. This turns into an easy layup attempt, and it's blown.
Dorian Branch missing that easy shot.
We're talking about 8 turnovers here combined in less than 7 minutes of action. Both teams are shooting it at a pretty good clip. Got to take better care of the basketball and find yourself in a better place.
Jones knocks the ball away, and it's another Cincinnati turnover. Cougars trying to get an easy basket, and they do. That's a good pass there by Gladney to Tatiana Hill, and Hill lays it up and in. But on the other end is Sifa, and she second one in the air, and too hard. Patterson gets the rebound. Cincinnati in the upper echelon of the teams that in the free throw line in the conference, they shoot at 73%. Going inside, and Black Shell Fair getting the basket. That's the second time she has driven to the basket and gotten a point.
Much better defense, though, from Houston. They were much more focused on getting back the other way quickly, not letting Cincinnati get an easy bucket, and they come up with a takeaway.
Already 7 turnovers for the Bearcats. Whistle blows, and
about 12.5 turnovers per game. We've still got 2.5 minutes left in the first quarter. They've been bothered like crazy.
The active hands that Houston is really putting out there. You see Houston very aggressive, trying to go for the basketball. Miller over to Thomas.
Antoinette's generally pretty good at creating her own shot.
So this time she's double teamed in the paint, and shot is no good. Offensive rebound, and it's put up and in. Well,
that looked like an answer.
Yeah, Moore getting the basket. Moore, a sophomore from Granite City, Illinois.
Way to just take a deep breath, slow down a little bit here.
Need to mention the officials. I think they're going to play a role in this ball game as whistle blows again with their 13th foul. Quick look inside, no good. Looks like Julia Blackshell Fair caught her own shot. It didn't look like it hit the rim, but
she got totally stuffed. Moore was right there, not letting her put it back up. Sure, a little frustrated she didn't put it in the first time.
Of course, with the rule change in college basketball now, when the team gets an offensive rebound, the shot clock goes to 30 and not, excuse me, goes to 20, not the usual 30. And the Cougars are going to get a fresh 20. Offensive rebounds. That's something that Cincinnati does well.
Right now, both teams need to settle down.
Scoop shot.
It was a good effort, but I don't know, I felt like she was off balance. You don't want to be off balance on a layup when you have a full head of steam driving to the basket.
For a minute and a half to play in the first quarter.
Sam Rogers hit 5 threes last time out. She can certainly get going. Maybe they can find a way to get her rolling. She's only taken 1 shot the entire game so far.
Was that 3-point miss. Miller trying to turn the corner, lets it fly from 15. It's no good. Come up under a minute to play. Houston with a 3 can tie, cut it to 1. Good closeout defense by Sam Rogers. And a foul is called at the free throw line. Ranked number 10. 1 out of 2 for Black Shell Fair. Cincinnati on the attack. And another turnover by the Bearcats. Black Shell Fair has nowhere to go and they have to jump it up.
Yeah, it's been kind of a roller coaster type season for this Houston Cougars side. And unfortunately, they've dropped a few in a row here. Statistically, you know, things haven't gone great on the whole, but they've had good moments. You know, there's talent there. And when you look at the standings, they're right in the thick of it.
Sifa losing the basketball, but it's right up to Miller, and she drills it. Antoinette Miller with her second three-pointer in this first quarter.
String music from the Bearcats late in the first.
Cougars trying to answer. It's no good by Patterson, and that
their message is saying, look, we're shooting ourselves in the foot too much here. Let's just relax and try to get in a rhythm offensively.
Houston with the ball first to start the second quarter. And a three. I think she was expecting a shot earlier, and that's why she turned around the fair.
But the 15th turnover now in less than 11 minutes.
Makes for a very choppy, sloppy game.
Well, good teams find a way to win ugly when you're not playing well and still come out on top. To me, that's a sign of a good team. We'll see which of these two teams can fight through some of this adversity.
Going down the baseline is Sifa, and they're going to call a shot clock.
It's tough. A home court advantage, maybe.
Another turnover. Quick finger at the scorer's table. Cincinnati in a zone. The way you attack the zone is you start hitting shots from the outside.
Got a diagonal. I think there's some people looking around right now inside the Fertitta Center saying, what's going on here?
Apple or cherry? Which one would you like with your turnover?
Seriously.
Rogers trying to work it inside. Rogers is open, and she cannot connect.
It's okay. Good rhythm shot. Spot up shooter for a good three-point shooter. They'll live with those misses.
Her second miss from downtown. Gladney thinking about the three. Instead, she drives it to the basket, and it spins off the rim.
Boy, it's a tough break, and frankly, it's unfortunate, too. Jasmine Lewis was wide open in the paint. The Bearcats didn't rotate down. Houston still had an opportunity for a layup and couldn't capitalize on it.
Gladney, the leading scorer for Houston with the points, and that one was way off. This is not one of those videos you want to show how to shoot. There's Jasmine Lewis, and she gets the basket to go.
Good move by the freshman out of Kansas City. She's just about an every game player. Comes off the bench, gives you a couple points per game. It's a nice easy bucket there.
You see Houston's defense, and they are really attacking the passing lanes. I think that's another reason why they have success in creating those turnovers.
You can see how fired up Coach Huey and his team are up on the top of the screen there, the way they're trying to jump those lanes. A lot of active hands defensively.
Sifa reaches out to Rogers, and it's a good defensive play. And Maya Jones knocking that ball away from Sam Rogers. You see Ronald Huey in his 6th season as the Houston Cougars women's basketball coach. It's good defense right there by Jones, just sticking her hand in there.
I wonder if she hit that with her left hand when it swung behind her back, because my first thought was that maybe Cincinnati caught a break there.
Reiser, Angel Reiser again. Reiser closing in on 1,000 points in her Bearcat career.
She's got 10 of their 21 tonight. So far, she is taking care of her business. 5 of 6 from the floor.
Kick ball. See Houston wearing the pink jerseys. In case you're just joining us, it's Play for K, the annual game that women's basketball teams all across the United States have to bring awareness to breast cancer. Turnover. Dorian Branch gets her pass taken away, and Cincinnati on the move. Miller, who's already drained a couple of threes, has got the ball.
A little surprised Sam Rogers didn't pull the trigger there. She had a chance. So the Bearcats can make something of it. Works out okay. Angel Reiser.
Reiser now with 12. She has got the hot hand early in this ball game.
Well, if nothing else, she's giving them a steady presence when they've so desperately needed one here early in this game.
Yeah, just think, where would they be without Angel Reiser?
It's hard to understand.
Sam Rogers with the steal, and she gets it poked away from behind, but Cincinnati up by 7. Thomas throws the ball away. Was poorly executed in the half court.
Actually, I think that was Watson. Shelia Watson is in the game here in place of Thomas, which is important because this is a spot where Houston has to try to take advantage of Thomas not being on the floor. That's a good start.
3 ball by Dorian Branch, who, speaking of 1,000-point members, she has gone over the 1,000-point mark in her Houston Cougar career. And that's going to be a turn. She's got good range. She's a good shooter, and if you leave her open, she'll knock it down more oftentimes than not.
Cincinnati just turned it over for the 11th time. Again, they average just over 12 per game. They've got 11 in the first 15 minutes. It's a minor miracle that they're leading by 4.
Branch off the off foot.
Started the year 3 and 4, and they're 13 and 4 since then. So they've really turned things around nicely since losing in overtime against Ohio State early in the year. They haven't lost at home since then. Got to try to be a little more consistent on the road.
That Ohio State game was an overtime loss at the 5th and 3rd arena. Cincinnati with the basketball and the lead. 3 in the corner, and that one is good.
Oh, good shot by Nelson.
Houston trying to return the favor. It is no good, and the rebound comes down to Cincinnati. They're quickly on the break. Wilson again with the basketball, and Cincinnati, a chance to build on their lead, turned the basketball over. Bearcats, again, just if you play with some patience, take your time, the shot's going to be there for them. With these turnovers, they're letting Houston hang around.
Not a lot going on offensively right now. Need more movement off the ball from the Cougars.
Hill in the post.
Houston feels they've really got behind her, so we'll find out. It's now Patterson, Branch, Gladney, Peace, and Blackshell Fair out on the floor as Kiesia Peace checks in.
What a pass from Amari Thomas. Angel Reiser. Houston active on the boards. Another offensive rebound. Blackshell Fair trying to wiggle her way inside, and she gets the basket.
That was better effort. I like how fast Houston's getting back on defense. Even when things have been sluggish on the offensive end for them, they can't have too big of a lapse here. Finally a miss. The Bearcats had hit 4 in a row, but yet
this time she misses both free throws.
That's pretty rare for Thomas. Usually she's much steadier than that. It's been kind of a microcosm of the whole first half.
It's an odd game. East with the 50. Well, if you're Cincinnati, the recipe for success, Angel Reiser, 14 points on 7 of 8 from the field.
Yeah, I don't think they really have a matchup for her right now that can legitimately stop her size and strength. She sets high screens, but she's pretty good when she gets down on the low post.
Miller, and Scott tips that ball right to Houston. Miller took that shot. That was really creative how she created her own shot. maybe ill-advised. Backdoor cut, Black Shell Fair, and she.
It gives Branch and Gladney and Hill lots of reason to exhale, because then they can go out and do their thing well.
Well, she does several things well. She was the leading rebounder in the game. Not only she had 17 points, but she also had 13 rebounds in the game. Her career high she had earlier in the season with 15 rebounds. That's another three-pointer by Antoinette Miller.
3 of them in the first half. Miller's starting to feel it a little bit.
Miller is 3 of 8 from the field, all 3 from three-point range. In fact, she hasn't made a two-pointer. She's 3 of 4 from three-point range.
Well, after
4 of 4 from two-point range.
After a bad stretch of basketball for the Bearcats, they've settled down now and hit 5 of their last 7. You got to come up with some stops, though. Not really creating any separation here late in the first half.
Jasmine Lewis gets the easy basket. Points in the paint in favor of Houston by 4, 20-16. There's Scott trying to create her own shot on the baseline. She goes up and under, and
who is an African native. She's from Burundi, which is kind of Central Africa, but was a terrific junior college player. And Coach Clark Hurd had the opportunity to come back to Cincinnati and take over a program. She wanted to infuse it with some different talent. She went the JUCO route, and Cephas turned out to be a great player.
Lewis misses that shot. Offensive rebound by Dorian Branch, no good, and Amari Thomas there to clean up the mess. Cincinnati trying to attack. Oh, good look, as that is a layup for Thomas.
Pretty pass from Cephas to Thomas. It's always nice when you can score without having to dribble. Really, really good work by the Bearcats. Now the shot clock's off here for the Cougars.
Thomas with just 4 points in this first half. She hasn't needed to score as much as she did in the previous matchup between these two teams, won by Cincinnati back on the 22nd by 19. She's just got the 4 points, but that's Angel Reiser taking up the slack. Going to the basket, Maya
still fresh enough, can stay underneath them and hit meaningful jump shots. So we'll see how it plays out here.
Conditioning is so important in the game of basketball. Larry Bird once said, you can have the greatest talent in the world, but if you're not in shape, it doesn't mean a darn thing.
No.
The wisdom of Larry Bird. Amari Thomas takes the first shot of the second half. It is no good, and the Houston Cougars coming out with the rebound. Black Shell Fair. They were successful driving to the basket with Black Shell Fair in that first half, and successful here with Patterson. Bria Patterson, the freshman, going off the glass and getting the first 2 points for Houston.
And her first 2 points of the night. She's been active all evening on the window. 5 rebounds in that first half, but a great take right down the lane. Love the move, protect the ball up high, bring it back down to the hip, put it back up and in.
Angel Reiser leads all scorers with those 14 points. Black Shell Fair right behind her for Houston with 13 in the ball game. This time it is no good by Miller, as she was now that's just her second miss.
See,
3-point range.
Here's the thing, with Reiser being so good offensively tonight, she draws that double. As a Cougar, you can't afford to leave someone as talented as Miller that wide open on the three-point arc. That's going to drive them crazy. That's the back of number 23. And so because she draws that kind of attention, a lot of times it's going to leave some open shooters, but Miller's already hit 3 threes. You don't want to let her get hot.
Now Black Shell Fair with the basket, so the opening baskets for Houston, a concentrated effort of getting them in the paint. Black Shell Fair with 14 points as Tatiana Hill knocks the ball away for the Houston Cougars. Inside, no good. Well, they are playing some type of physical game, aren't they?
Well, they are, but I feel like watching Houston's offense at some points tonight has looked like it's just moved through quicksand, right? They're making the right passes, but they're making them a beat or two too late, time and time again, and so those windows for open shots are closing. They're able to connect there. Patterson scores again, but making it more difficult on themselves. Early in the first half, we saw great ball movement from them. If you're passing faster than the defense can rotate, you're going to be in good shape every time as Miller hits an open 3. I think Houston's got to get back to the spread things out, pass the ball around more quickly and more crisply.
Miller with her 4th 3-point shot made. Gladney trying to answer, and she does. You got to love it when the net barely moves.
That's a much better offensive possession. Sure, it was quick, but a good quick pass from the corner up top. You got a shooter in space wide open, catch fire, and 3 more.
Sifa, no good. Offensive rebound, and this one is going to be no good. Wow. A couple of easy baskets opportunities for Cincinnati. Cougars trying to take the lead here, and one of the things that Thomas gets her going is getting an offensive rebound and a putback, and then you can see her start to really work herself into the offense. Cincinnati ball after the timeout. Houston with the lead. Houston hasn't had the lead much in this ball game, just over a minute to play, and a turnover for Cincinnati. Gladney under control now. A little helter-skelter whenever they get the ball like that. Gladney's one of those players that has really evolved into her own. Played sparingly last year, and when she did, she just didn't have the confidence. But you could see it really grow now as she is the leading scorer on this Houston team. Branch missing the 3. You know, we talked about it. Houston doesn't have a lot of depth. Branch is just their lone senior. But she has made the most of the opportunity, trying to be one of the leaders. An extension of Coach Huey on the floor.
Well, when you referenced Gladney a moment ago, I mean, she's having a far superior offensive year this year compared to where she was.
Those are good, and Cincinnati regains the 1-point lead. And let's see what happens here with Houston now trailing by a point.
College basketball is really tough. You get into a new environment with a lot of talented players around you. You come in your freshman season, and it's an adjustment for a lot of student athletes. And it's not just basketball, but you got to learn how to manage your time and the heavy workload that a lot of coaches give these young women. It's a challenge.
No good on the 3-point shot, but Houston gets the offensive board as Dorian Branch hustling in there. No one boxed her out. So he said, okay, I'll take it. Houston moving with that basketball. Shot clock winding down. Dorian Branch, no good. I'm surprised the shot clock didn't reset. The buzzer went off, but Houston retains possession because it did hit the rim. And an offense side, they gutted it out, and they've done a wonderful job. Of course, Tillman Fertitta, owner of the Houston Rockets, donated $20 million, and of course it's the Fertitta Center. And he wanted it top notch, and they have done a tremendous job. Back to action, Bearcats on the attack. Inside is Scott. Goes up the shot, no good.
Jasmine Lewis, terrific job. Good work by Sam Rogers coming back the other way, sticking her hands out into the passing lane, but moving her feet, not trapping someone with their body. That's how you got to defend in transition. Good work.
Gladney trying to get Jasmine Lewis the ball inside, and they're going to call a foul. Back on January 25th, Jasmine Lewis hit the game-winning shot with no time left to send it into overtime. Lewis, no good. For Cincinnati. Miller, and there's Reiser, wide open, and Reiser knows what to do with it.
Well, it worked out nicely. I think Houston needs to do more of a better job on the defensive end of the floor, forcing Miller to go left. Rogers misses there. She has dribbled almost exclusively with her right hand today. Obviously, she's right-hand dominant, but she doesn't want to go the other direction. Force her that way.
Gladney with her 5th point of the ball game, and then Cincinnati comes right back. They've done that a couple of times. They just push the ball back after Houston scores.
There are stretches of this game that are played at a pretty high level. It just hasn't been consistent enough. And if you're Houston right now, you're only down 3 points. There's absolutely no reason to panic.
Yeah, you were down by 7 at the beginning of this half. Gladney turns the ball over for as much as they did in the first half. Each team with 3 turnovers apiece in this quarter. So at the 3-minute mark.
Thomas begging for the ball in the paint. She gets it.
And gets it blocked by the freshman Lewis. Lewis just put her hands up in the air and got the block.
Well, that's certainly one of Houston's strengths. They're one of the better teams in the league blocking shots. They're okay with banging around in the low post. Problem is, Angel Reiser, who's got some serious size, can also shoot it from 15 feet.
Loose on the floor, and Cincinnati comes up with the ball. That was tremendous hustle by Dana Moore. Reiser short. Thomas offensive rebound, and
who also average roughly 5 offensive rebounds a game is kind of alarming because she's not getting her own misses if she's shooting at that level. She's in the right place time and time again to get others misses. I just can't say enough good things about Thomas. She's such a phenomenal player. And it's not a single-handed effort, but she is a huge reason why this Bearcat program is turning around.
I was just about to make the comment that Amari Thomas has tremendous footwork, but Jasmine Lewis showing me up there with tremendous footwork of herself. Lewis works with Hall of Famer Vicky Pikett, Hall of Famer of Rutgers, a lot with that footwork in the post, but there's Thomas with that footwork, and watch out here now. Here's Amari Thomas getting going, scoring the last 3 points for Cincinnati. And a steal. Miller with the pick.
Cougars a little careless with it there.
Rogers trying to get the shot off. Doesn't hit any.
5 times since the 5-minute mark of the second quarter, so a much different story since then. But you'll still see some numbers at the end of the game that'll make you scratch your head a bit. Bearcats lead by 6.
Cincinnati start the ball with the fourth quarter. Thomas taking the shot. She missed it. Reiser, no good. Gets her own rebound. That's 2 offensive rebounds to start the fourth quarter. Reiser, no good again. And Houston dodging a major bullet there.
I have no idea how she got that miss. I mean, she was so far under the basket, the ball just came right down to her. It's a weird angle.
Thomas open. Thomas, that's going to get her going.
It's pretty. Under control. Spin move through the key. Up and in for 2.
Thomas has the last 5 points for Cincinnati. And she's starting to come alive. Remember, for most of the fourth quarter or third quarter, she had just 4 points, but now the last 5, she's got 9. Black Shell Fair taking it to the basket, off the window.
What a day for Julia. 19 points on 8 of 12 from the floor. She's really picking up her teammates because Branch and Gladney in particular have combined to go 3 for 19. Without Black Shell Fair, Houston's not really in this game.
Reiser lays it in. Reiser with a team high 18 points.
We'll talk about efficiency. She's done it on 9 of 13 from the floor. 7 rebounds and assists. Reiser's getting it done all over the place. She's basically been out there the whole game. They've only subbed her off for one very brief 1 minute or so. And frankly, Cincinnati's needed her. She was the one that calmed the storm, if you will, in that first half.
Gladney taking it to the basket, getting the 2. And Scott gets it knocked away. I beg your pardon, Moore taking it to the basket, gets it knocked away. You saw Julia Black Shell Fair really breathing hard. She's played a lot of minutes in this game. Actually has played every minute of this game.
Along the way as an assistant, she's been the head coach a couple places. You mentioned she was basically a real big reason why Western Kentucky's program was elevated to a much better mid-major team. She was also an assistant coach on a Louisville staff when they went to the national championship and fell a little short. So she knows what it's like to be in a national championship game, and I'm sure she's got that kind of that kind of dream and passion and mentality. And she took the job back down in Cincinnati after she was an assistant there back in the early 2000s. Definitely has this program on the move. No doubt Cincinnati is in a better place here.
Mari Thomas again inside. Let her around the basket, and she's going to do some damage. And a turnover. There's Miller taking it coast to coast, but she can't finish it. Hill straddled with 4 fouls along with Bria Patterson, so a couple of players in foul trouble for Ronald Huey in Houston, as Ronald Huey says, let's talk things over. Cincinnati still with the lead, up by 8. Match each other with that energy.
By the way, Thomas kind of having a quiet double-double, 11 points, 11 rebounds. Feels like a good chunk of her offense has come here in this second half.
Cougars out of the timeout. Trailing. Gladney open for 3. Front iron no good. Offensive rebound. Houston again, another offensive rebound. 12 offensive rebounds to 10 for Cincinnati. They had success with Blackshell Fair driving it to the basket. She's their leading scorer with 19 points. Branch has to hoist.
I'm not sure he's going to get one. Bearcat ball.
Well, you mentioned the amount of turnovers have really dwindled for Cincinnati because they're such a good team that takes care of the basketball. Houston is in the zone. Reiser inside to Thomas, and Thomas with 2 more.
Absolutely pristine pass. Over the top where only Thomas could extend her arms and get to it. Caught it softly, laid it in. Nicely done.
Thomas now 13 in the ball game. This is the biggest lead for the Bearcats. Comes with 5.5 in the 4th quarter. Houston trying to move the ball around. Cincinnati's defense has really clogged up the paint. Blackshell Fair turning around and putting it in.
I know Rogers gives up the bucket there, but I love the way that she defends. Rogers has not had her typical offensive game. She's only got 2 points. They've come from the free throw line. It's been a disappointing night for her, but she refuses to let that stop her. She's still getting involved in making good defensive plays. That time, Houston got the better of her, but good work from Rogers.
And Reiser, again, he's got 20 points with that layup. Hill in the paint. Back foot no good. Branch offensive rebound, and she's fouled. 1 out of 2 for Dorian Branch. Houston not taking it much to the basket lately. That's where those free throws come in effect. Cincinnati coming the other way. Offensive rebound, and it's put up and in by Amari Thomas.
It's her 4th offensive rebound, 12 total. Give her 15 points. How do you have a quiet 15 and 12? I don't know, but Amari Thomas is getting it done.
Now she only had 4 at the half. That's Hill inside, and Hill gets the friendly rim and roll. Well, we knew that once she got that offensive rebound and was fouled and made those 2 free throws, things were going to start working for Thomas. As this one is stolen by Houston, and it has. Blackshell Fair to the basket, no good. Patterson offensive rebound, and she steps out of bounds. No, Rogers steps out of bounds after getting the rebound.
This could get overturned. I think Rogers had a good point. I think her left foot was inbounds. Let's see if we get another look at it here. Watch Rogers closely, right? She is still inbounds. Absolutely.
And I wonder, I mean, yeah, clearly. But Houston gets the ball anyway.
Wasn't even close. No. Cougars will take the lucky break.
Maybe it was her shoelace. Dorian Branch. Off the rim, no good. Fighting for the rebound, and
out of those,
Caney High School. 1 out of 2 for Hill. Cincinnati. You ever had Cincinnati chili?
If you go to Cincinnati and don't have chili, you didn't go to Cincinnati, my friend.
In the air, and it's good. A three-pointer by Sam Rogers. That is her first of the ball game. Houston trying to holding on by 5.
The American is
Bearcats, and Houston on the turnover gets the steal, and all of a sudden, Brendan, it's a 3-point ball game.
Well, this is no surprise to Cincinnati. They knew that Houston likes to do this. They'll definitely press you late in the game when it's tight, and the Bearcats haven't handled it well.
Shot no good. Looks like she caught her own shot. Houston active. The offensive
They're way too risky.
Houston is on a 7-0 run over the last half a minute. And another turnover. The press. Cincinnati gets the ball back. Bearcats trying to regain control, and they don't.
What
Rogers
is going on here?
falls down. Patterson stepping into the 3. It's front iron, no good.
This is full-on hot potato right now.
Bad pass. Hill can't hold on to it. Cincinnati's turned the ball over quite a bit here in this fourth quarter.
Well, they need to get the ball in the hands of Reiser. They can trust Reiser with it. She's been solid all night long.
Or Miller for 3.
That'll work.
Antoinette Miller silences the Fertitta faithful.
Dial up a big one. Antoinette Miller.
17 points for Antoinette Miller. Branch trying to answer for Houston. No good. Thomas gets the rebound. Here's Miller. Cincinnati has numbers. Miller bounce pass, and that's going to be a layup for more. And just like that, the Bearcats up by 9. Fans unhappy here at home. But Cincinnati has pressed all the right buttons since getting things under control after having a rash of turnovers.
I think they've just pressed enough of the buttons. It has been a borderline infuriating game for both teams. I can promise you this is not going to be a game they go back trying to get to 8-4 and stay in that second place spot in the league. Certainly give him credit, and give Hill some credit there for having the guts to step in front and take that charge, because if it's called against her, she's done, and they need her here late.
He's got a timeout.
Well, the frustrating part here, Gerald, is if you're a Cougar fan, you had Cincinnati where you wanted them. They were completely out of whack offensively. Once Cincinnati called that timeout, and give the Bearcat coaching staff credit for calling it at the appropriate time, but it took all of the momentum away from Houston. The Bearcats have hit their last 4 shots in a row. They've looked a little bit more settled on the offensive end, and Houston hasn't been able to have that chaos go back in their favor.
Just under a minute to play here in this ball game, and looking at Julia Blackshell-Fair, she has led the Cougars with 23 points on 10 of 15 from the field, and she ties her career high. She had a career high against California Baptist earlier this year, back in November, of 23 points. And she has done well here tonight, carrying the Houston Cougars single-handedly.
Well, those 3 highlights were a microcosm of what she's done. I don't know the number specifically, but I would bet you at least 8 of her 10 baskets are from very close to the bucket. She's a slasher. She hasn't been settling for jump shots. She relies on her athleticism. She's gotten to the basket throughout the course of the night. The problem for Branch and for Gladney, in my opinion, is that they have settled too much. Branch, geez, 1 for 13. This is probably her least effective game of the season. Gladney's had a tough night. 1 of 6 from beyond the arc, 4 of 15 overall. They've relied pretty heavily on Blackshell-Fair to keep them close, but with 43 seconds left here, it's certainly not over, but Houston does not have time to waste.
Oh, Branch was 1 of 10 last game at Philadelphia, so she has struggled the last couple of ball games with her shot. Cincinnati has made 4 of their last 4 attempts.
Well, neither team in the bonus here, both for a couple steals. You've got fouls to give. Be aggressive here. You got to get the ball back.
Looks like Houston let a lot of. Thomas has really come alive in the second half.
Last 18 games after a sub 500 start. And if they can finish the season strong, regardless.
From top to bottom, sometimes the records don't indicate what teams are going through. Anybody can beat anybody on a given night. The free throw line for Adea Moore. Houston is going to lose, looks like their third in a row. Branch missing.
Yeah, at Tulsa to round out the regular season. So you like the idea of at least playing two teams at the bottom of the league below you.
And trying to implement everything over there for them. Closing seconds of this ball game, and Cincinnati has come on the road here in Houston and has